Hi everyone, welcome back to the Property Finance Podcast, and today we're carrying on our series of FAQs, and today I want to talk about essentially early repayment charges and the ability to overpay on a mortgage. So this is something that comes up a fair bit. So when we're talking about early redemption charges, we're talking about paying back, when it comes to a mortgage, paying back the mortgage before the fixed term expires. So if you're on a 5-year fix, you're going to have early repayment charges in year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're on a 2-year fix, you have early repayments in years 1 and 2. So it's worth, when looking at the term of the mortgage that you want to take, understanding what those early repayment charges are going to be, and also understanding if they're going to be relevant to you as well. Because if you're on a 2-year fix, chances are you're probably not going to be looking to pay that mortgage back early unless there's some sort of massive life change or something like that. If it's an investment property, chances are there's not going to be any risk of you paying it back within those first couple of years. But it's worth keeping an eye on those because they do form part of the overall finance package, because you need to take those costs into account, especially on a 5-year fix. You need to take those costs into account because if you're going to repay in year 3 or 4, especially at the moment where interest rates are changing so much, if you're going to repay in year 3, year 4, and those early redemption charges are 3-4%, that's a significant cost. Whereas if you went with a lender that maybe on a 5-year fix is charging 4% year 1, 3% year 2, and then 1% for those remaining 3 years, then that 1% actually isn't such a huge cost. And obviously that could then open the door for you to repay that mortgage early. And it's worth keeping that in mind, especially when you're looking at whether to take a 2-year or a 5-year fixed. When we talk about early repayment charges on bridging and development finance, they're not necessarily early repayment charges, they're actually just exit fees. So the thing to keep in mind with bridging and development finance is that if there is an exit fee, that is payable no matter when you exit that loan, whether you exit it month 1, month 12, month 24, if you're taking a 2-year facility, it's always going to be payable. It's just an exit fee that has to be paid. The other thing to keep in mind on bridging and development finance as well is that there may be a minimum interest period. So there might be a period of time that if you repay within the first 3 months, for example, there might be a 6-month minimum interest clause. Might still have to repay 6 months worth of interest, even if you've only used it for 3 months. So again, that needs to be taken into account over the overall finance package as well. When it comes to overpaying your mortgage, irrelevant on bridging and development finance because it's very unlikely that you're going to be paying sort of part of the mortgage back. It wouldn't really make financial sense. You can do if you want to, but there's no real point. When it comes to your buy-to-lets, HMO mortgages, SA mortgages, most lenders will allow you to repay up to 10% of the balance of the mortgage without paying early redemption charges. Each mortgage lender is completely different, so check the terms of those. Obviously, each mortgage offer that you get in, check that. But up to 10% is the norm that you can pay back without having to pay anything extra. If you paid over 10%, obviously that's where you would then incur fees potentially as well. So when it comes to early redemption fees and overpaying, each mortgage is completely different. Check those terms very, very carefully. But hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of what you can achieve. Thank you very much for listening. Catch you on the next one.